The conference hall was electric, filled to capacity with journalists, industry leaders, and high-profile investors. The massive LED screens behind the stage pulsed with futuristic animations, Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, each flashing for a brief moment before fading into the summit's sleek branding. The air buzzed with anticipation, a low murmur of conversation punctuated by the occasional rustle of notepads and the click of camera shutters. Elon Musk strode onto the stage, his presence alone enough to send a wave of excitement through the crowd. Dressed in his usual casual attire, black t-shirt, blazer, and dark jeans, he carried an effortless confidence, but something in his expression was different. Restlessness. A flicker of something even his best poker face couldn't quite hide. The cameras went wild. Journalists angled their microphones forward, ready to dissect every word, every pause, every shift in body language. In the front row, executives from rival tech firms sat with arms crossed, waiting for a misstep. Some looked amused, others wary. They knew Musk had a habit of saying things that moved markets in seconds. He reached the podium, adjusted the microphone, and took a breath. The room fell into an expectant hush. "Good morning," he said, his voice carrying the same offhanded charm that made his interviews both unpredictable and unforgettable. "I'll keep this short because, let's be honest, you're here for the Q&A. A chuckle rippled through the audience, but Musk didn't wait for it to settle. Innovation is about solving problems that matter, whether it's getting to Mars, making AI work for us instead of against us, or creating cars that don't kill the planet. Our job is to build the future, not just talk about it." A few heads nodded, others scribbled furiously in their notebooks. "And since I know at least half of you are here to ask about robots taking over or Twitter imploding," another chuckle from the crowd, "let's get straight to the questions." Hands shot up immediately. The usual faces: tech analysts, industry veterans, investigative journalists hoping to catch him off guard. Musk scanned the room, but just as he was about to pick someone, a small hand lifted from the front row. It wasn't the polished, manicured hand of a billionaire's son or a young startup prodigy. It was small, unassuming, the kind of hand that belonged in a classroom, not in a high-stakes tech summit. Musk hesitated for the briefest moment. Something about the way the boy looked at him, steady, unblinking, made him curious. He pointed. "All right, let's hear from you." The boy stood. His voice, though quiet, cut through the silence like a blade. "If you're so smart, why haven't you solved the biggest problem in human history yet?" The air in the room shifted. The murmuring stopped. Musk tilted his head slightly, intrigued. The question wasn't just unexpected, it was a challenge, and everyone knew it. The boy had been there the entire time, yet no one had noticed him. Amidst the sea of power suits, expensive watches, and industry titans hunched over their devices, he sat perfectly still. Small, unassuming, and dressed in a plain grey hoodie, he didn't belong here, not in a conference filled with billionaires and journalists looking for their next headline. But there he was, sitting in the front row, hands resting on his lap, eyes locked onto Musk with an intensity that felt out of place for a child his age. While others jotted down notes or whispered among themselves, he hadn't moved. He hadn't even fidgeted. A few attendees had glanced at him earlier, confused by his presence. No badge, no parent beside him, just a kid in a hoodie sitting where executives had paid tens of thousands of dollars to be. Yet no one had asked him to leave. No security guards had questioned him. It was as if he had simply appeared, and for some reason, no one dared to challenge it. And now he had spoken. The silence following his question was different from the usual pauses in a press conference. It wasn't the kind of silence that came when people were thinking. It was the kind that came when people felt something shift. Even the journalists, trained to react fast, hesitated before scribbling down the words. If you're so smart, why haven't you solved the biggest problem in human history yet? Musk didn't answer right away. He studied the boy, the quiet confidence, the unblinking stare. There was no hesitation in the kid's voice, no nervousness, no awe. He wasn't a fan looking for attention. He wasn't an opportunist trying to go viral. He was waiting for an answer that Musk wasn't sure he had. Musk had heard it all before. Will Tesla hit full autonomy by next year? Is SpaceX still on track for Mars colonization? Do you think AI will take over human jobs? The questions came rapid fire the way they always did at these events. Musk answered some with his usual blend of insight and humor, brushed off others with a smirk, and occasionally paused just long enough to let a dramatic silence do the work for him. Then the boy raised his hand. At first, no one seemed to notice. In a crowd of reporters, analysts, and industry insiders, a kid's hand didn't carry much weight, but Musk saw it, and for reasons he couldn't explain, he pointed right at him. "All right, let's hear from you." The room barely had time to register. The oddity of Musk choosing a child when the boy stood up. No microphone, no hesitation, just a single question delivered with a voice so steady, so eerily calm, it sent an involuntary chill through the air. If you're so smart, why haven't you solved the biggest problem in human history yet? The question landed like a detonation. Musk didn't move. The room didn't move. For the first time in the entire conference, the rapid scribbling of journalists' pens stopped. The boy didn't blink. His voice carried no malice, no sarcasm, no admiration, just raw, matter-of-fact curiosity, as if he were pointing out something obvious that everyone else had missed. Musk leaned forward slightly. The muscles in his jaw tightened. He was used to tough questions. But this was different because the boy hadn't defined what the biggest problem in human history was, and yet, somehow, everyone in the room felt it. Was he talking about climate change, war, poverty, AI, something more existential? The ambiguity made the question even more powerful. It was a trap with no right answer, only revelations. And for the first time in years, Elon Musk didn't have a response ready. Musk leaned forward, elbows on the podium, eyes narrowing slightly. The question lingered in the air, heavy, unresolved. He didn't answer immediately. He didn't need to. The weight of the moment was doing all the work. The audience had been lively just minutes ago, laughing at Musk's quips, murmuring at his insights. But now, silence. No more scribbling. No more typing. Even the sound engineers in the back had frozen, fingers hovering over their controls. On stage, the panelists, high-ranking executives from Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink, glanced at one another, searching for some clue, some context, something that would explain who this boy was and what exactly he meant. A seasoned journalist in the third row adjusted his glasses, his brow furrowed. He had covered Musk's career for over a decade and had never seen him hesitate like this. The question had done something rare. It had made Elon Musk think. Musk exhaled slowly. He could feel the room waiting, tension tightening like a wire stretched. Too thin. Finally he spoke. "That's a very interesting way to put it," he said, tilting his head. The boy remained unmoved. He wasn't impressed by the deflection. He wasn't here to play along with media spectacle. He was here for an answer, and everyone in that room, from the tech billionaires to the most hardened skeptics, was suddenly desperate to hear what Musk would say next. Musk studied the boy for a A long moment, his fingers drumming lightly against the podium. He could feel the weight of the question pressing down, not just on him, but on everyone in the room. Then, as if sensing the hesitation, the boy spoke again. "People think innovation is about making new things," he said, his voice clear and unwavering. "But what if innovation is about fixing what's broken?" A ripple passed through the crowd, soft murmurs, the shuffling of bodies leaning toward one another. Some nodded, as if the idea had struck a chord they hadn't realized was there. Others frowned, puzzled, trying to unpack the meaning. On stage, one of the Tesla executives shifted uncomfortably. Another panelist, a Neuralink scientist, glanced at Musk as if waiting for his reaction. Musk let out a short breath through his nose, almost a chuckle, but there was no humor in his eyes. He understood what the boy was saying. He just wasn't sure how to respond, because fixing what's broken meant something entirely different from creating what's next. Musk had built his legacy on pushing forward, colonizing Mars, merging AI with human minds, redefining transportation. It was always about the future, about moving fast, breaking things, disrupting industries. But this question was pulling him backward, making him look at everything that had been left in the dust in the race toward progress. The room had become a pressure cooker of expectation. People weren't just waiting for an answer anymore, they were invested. And for the first time in years, Musk felt something unfamiliar creeping into his chest. Doubt. Musk's smirk was almost instinctive, a reflex born from years of sparring with journalists, investors, and critics. He leaned slightly against the podium, his posture relaxed, but there was an edge to his voice when he finally spoke. "That's an interesting perspective," he said, tilting his head as if he were considering the words for the first time. But the boy didn't flinch. He didn't fidget, didn't look down, didn't do what most people, adults included, would do when confronted with one of the most powerful minds in the world. Instead, he just stood there, holding Musk's gaze. The energy in the room shifted again. This wasn't just a curious child asking a question. This was something else. Musk had spent his career in boardrooms filled with the world's sharpest minds. He had debated, challenged, and outmaneuvered some of the most powerful people on the planet. But this boy, he wasn't playing the game. There was no nervousness, no flattery, no attempt to impress. Just raw, unshakable certainty. For the first time in the conference, Musk wasn't leading the conversation, and the realization made his smirk fade just slightly. The silence stretched between them, thick, unspoken. Cameras zoomed in, journalists perched on the edge of their seats, executives exchanged glances. This wasn't just another Q&A moment, this was something that would be remembered. Musk finally straightened, his smirk gone, replaced by something far more dangerous. Real interest. "All right," he said, his voice quieter now. "Tell me what you think is broken." The room held its breath, and the boy answered. The shift in the room was almost imperceptible at first. A few hushed murmurs, the subtle movement of journalists leaning closer to their screens, fingers poised over keyboards. But then, like a wave building in slow motion, the energy turned. The press could smell it. A moment like this was rare. Elon Musk, a man who had danced through controversy and emerged stronger every time, was suddenly off balance. And it wasn't a senator grilling him in a courtroom or a rival CEO going after his market share. It was a kid. The journalists who had been scribbling lazily through the conference were now wide-eyed, their pens scratching furiously. Cameras zoomed in on Musk's face, searching for cracks in his famously composed demeanor. Some of the more seasoned reporters exchanged knowing looks. This could be the moment Musk stumbled. In the front row, a prominent tech analyst, one of Musk's loudest critics, smirked as he whispered to his colleague, "If he dodges, it's a bad look. If he answers wrong, it's worse. Either way, we've got a headline." On Twitter, the live stream was already blowing up. Comments flooded. "And damn, this kid just cooked Elon. Who is this boy? Where did he come from?" Elon looks actually nervous. This is new. Musk could hear the murmuring, feel the weight of thousands of eyes dissecting his every move. He wasn't just being questioned, he was being challenged, and he never let himself lose a challenge. He tilted his head slightly, the glint in his eyes sharpening. His posture shifted just enough to signal that he was ready to push back. But before he could speak, the boy did something unexpected. He took a step forward. The collective gasp from the audience was barely audible, but Musk heard it. The cameras adjusted, focusing tightly. The room held its breath. And then, with a voice calm enough to send a chill through the entire summit, the boy said, "I think you already know the answer." Musk exhaled through his nose, straightening his posture. He had been in too many high-stakes conversations to let a moment like this shake him. The murmuring, the tension, the eyes dissecting his every move, this was familiar territory. "Well," he said, forcing an easy smile, "I'd say we're already working on solving some of the biggest problems humanity has ever faced." He gestured, slightly with his hands as if laying it all out before the audience. Tesla is making sustainable energy mainstream. Solar, batteries, electric vehicles, things that actually make a difference in the world right now. A few nods in the audience, some executives relaxed. This was Musk in control again, steering the narrative back to safer waters. "And then there's SpaceX," he continued, "which is making sure that humanity doesn't put all its eggs in one basket. If we can become a multi-planetary species, we aren't just solving today's problems, we're ensuring our survival long-term." He let that last statement hang in the air, expecting the boy to acknowledge the weight of it. It was a classic Musk move: redirect, reframe, overwhelm with ambition. Most people ate it up, but the boy just shook his head. It wasn't a dismissive shake, not disrespectful, just simple, matter of fact. As if Musk had given the wrong answer to a math problem, and the boy was politely waiting for him to try again. A flicker of something crossed Musk's face. The smirk didn't return this time. Somewhere in the audience, a journalist whispered, "Holy shit." The tension thickened again, undoing Musk's attempt to steer the conversation. "That's not the problem I'm talking about," the boy said. A few people inhaled sharply. This was no ordinary Q&A anymore. Musk's fingers curled slightly around the podium. "Then what problem are you talking about?" The boy didn't hesitate. "The one you won't talk about." The room froze. Musk's jaw tightened just slightly. A reaction most people wouldn't have caught, but the cameras certainly did. The boy's words had cut through the polished responses like a scalpel. That's avoiding the question. The audience stirred. The murmur spread like a ripple in still water, soft at first, then growing, shifting the entire energy in the room. Reporters turned to each other, some whispering, others frantically typing. Industry leaders who had been checking their phones were suddenly paying attention. Even the panelists on stage, Musk's own people, exchanged uncertain glances. The boy wasn't just holding his ground. He was pushing forward. "You talk about the future," the boy continued, his voice still impossibly steady. "But what about the people suffering right now?" A beat of silence. Musk's closest aides, standing near the edge of the stage, shifted uncomfortably. One of them, An executive from Tesla crossed his arms, eyes darting toward Musk as if silently asking, "Do you want us to intervene?" Musk ignored them. His focus remained locked on the boy. "We are helping people right now," he said, his voice measured. "Sustainable energy, AI advancements, infrastructure development, these aren't just future concepts. They have real impact today. But not on the people who need it most," the boy countered immediately. The air crackled. It wasn't just a debate anymore. It was a confrontation, and Musk, for all his intellect and charisma, was on the defensive. A few rows back, a well-known journalist from The Verge let out a low whistle. "This kid's got him cornered," Musk inhaled through his nose. He wasn't angry. If anything, he looked intrigued. But there was something else behind his eyes now. Something rare? Doubt. Not in himself. In the answer he was about to give. The room was waiting, the weight of thousands of eyes pressing down on him. For the first time in a very long time, Elon Musk was no longer in control of the conversation. The silence stretched. Musk's fingers hovered over the edge of the podium, but he didn't speak. His usual rapid-fire wit, the sharp comebacks, the confident deflections, all of it had momentarily failed him. Instead, he took a slow breath. His hand came up to his chin, rubbing it absent-mindedly, his gaze locked on the boy. It was a rare thing. Elon Musk, thinking before speaking. The murmurs in the audience had died down, but the weight of their attention hadn't. Reporters stared, their pens frozen above their notepads, camera lenses refocused, zooming in, catching every micro-expression. Somewhere in the back of the room, a rival executive leaned toward a journalist and whispered, "I've never seen him pause like this," because the boy's question wasn't just a question. It was the question. For years, Musk had built his empire on the promise of the future, Mars, AI, clean energy, hyperloop cities. But the boy had stripped all of that away, forcing him to confront something much simpler. What about right now? For the first time in his career, Musk seemed to be wondering if he'd been looking too far ahead, while something urgent burned behind him. The tension on stage was thick. His own panelists, executives from Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink glanced at one another, waiting for him to regain control. But Musk didn't answer right away. Instead, he did something uncharacteristic. He looked at the boy, truly looked at him as if seeing him for the first time. Who was this kid? And how had he just shaken the richest, most powerful man in the world? Musk finally exhaled, breaking the silence. His fingers tapped lightly against the podium before he straightened, looking directly at the boy. His voice, when he spoke, was quieter than before, lacking the usual bravado, the casual confidence that made headlines. Instead, there was something raw in it, something most people weren't used to hearing from him. "I think about that every day," he admitted. The audience stilled. This wasn't a rehearsed statement. This wasn't a calculated PR move. This was real. "Innovation isn't always about what's next," Musk continued, his tone measured, reflective. "Sometimes it's about fixing what's broken." For a moment, the entire room felt different. The journalists who had been waiting for a slip-up were now sitting upright, staring, unsure of how to process this version of Musk. The executives on stage, who had been so tense a minute ago, exchanged uncertain glances, because this wasn't just an answer, it was an admission. For years, Musk had been the visionary, the disruptor, the man obsessed with what lay ahead, AI, Mars, electric revolutions. But this was something else entirely. This was him acknowledging the present, And the weight of those words sent a ripple through the audience. In the back, a reporter from the New York Times leaned toward his colleague and whispered, "Did Musk just admit he's been looking in the wrong direction?" The boy said nothing. He didn't gloat. He didn't press further. He just watched. Because he knew, so did everyone else, something had shifted. And Elon Musk, for all his genius, was only now beginning to realize it himself. The silence didn't last long. A journalist from Reuters seized the moment, her voice cutting through the tension like a scalpel. "Are you saying your priorities are changing? Will you shift focus from space to Earth?" Musk barely had a second to process before the floodgates burst open. "Does this mean Mars is no longer the goal? Are you admitting that your past priorities were misplaced? Is Tesla going to pivot to humanitarian efforts? What does this mean for SpaceX investors?" The questions came from all directions, the press smelling a shift too big to ignore. A moment ago, Musk had been in control, the center of admiration. Now the energy had changed. The admiration was still there, but it was laced with skepticism. Because if Musk, the Elon Musk, was reconsidering his vision, what did that mean for everything he had built? His eyes flicked across the room. The Tesla executives on stage stiffened. Some of his closest aides looked uneasy, knowing exactly how quickly markets could react to a moment like this. A SpaceX advisor in the front row leaned into his phone, whispering something probably to investors who were already panicking. The world relied on Musk being predictable. His unpredictability was part of his brand, but there were lines even he wasn't expected to cross. And this was crossing one. Musk rubbed his hands together slowly, thinking. Then, in a voice just loud enough to cut through the chaos, he answered, "I'm saying we need to think about both." It was measured, cautious. A balance between staying true to his mission while acknowledging the boy's challenge, but the press wasn't letting him off the hook. "That's not what it sounded like, Elon," another journalist pressed. "Are you reconsidering your entire approach?" Musk's smirk returned, just barely. But it didn't have the same effortless confidence as before. He knew exactly what was happening. This wasn't just a press conference anymore. It was a reckoning. The press conference had barely ended when the first wave hit. X, Reddit, YouTube, every platform exploded with reactions. Within minutes, the trending topics were dominated by variations of one theme. Musk changes course. Elon admits failure. Innovation or escape? The narrative had already begun to shift, and Musk's critics were ready. A tweet from a well-known tech journalist with 2.3 million followers went viral almost instantly. Musk admits he's been ignoring real-world problems. This is the moment his entire empire starts to unravel. A rival billionaire CEO, one who had long clashed with Musk in the clean energy space, wasted no time adding fuel to the fire. Some of us have always been focused on Earth. Nice of Elon to catch up. Finally. Within an hour, YouTube was flooded with reaction videos dissecting Musk's words. Some were supportive, tech optimists praising his introspection, but others were brutal. Is Musk finally cracking under pressure? Musk just made the biggest mistake of his career. Why this one statement could destroy Tesla and SpaceX? Financial analysts jumped in next. The Wall Street Journal published an early opinion piece titled "Elon Musk's Uncertain Future, a Billionaire in Crisis." Stockholders panicked. Tesla's stock dipped slightly in after-hours trading, and CNBC ran a segment on whether Musk's admission could signal deeper instability in his companies. But it wasn't just corporations and media figures. Ordinary people weighed in too. I knew it. All these years he's been running from Earth's problems. Now he has to face them. If he turns Tesla into a fix-the-world company, I'm out. I invested in a vision. Kinda respect him for admitting it, TBH, but what happens next? And then, inevitably, the conspiracy theorists entered the fray. Some speculated that the boy had been planted by a rival, by governments, by climate activists, someone trying to undermine Musk's empire. Others questioned the timing, wondering if this was a planned shift to rebrand Tesla and SpaceX for the future. But through all the noise, the real question that hung in the air was simple. Was this the moment Elon Musk's entire legacy changed? And, perhaps more importantly, would he fight back? Musk didn't wait for the backlash to settle. He knew better than to let the media control the narrative. Within hours of the press conference, he took to Twitter, his digital battleground of choice. False narrative incoming. No, I'm not abandoning Mars. No, I'm not just now realizing. Earth has problems. We're working on both. Always have been. It was sharp, direct, classic Musk. But for the first time, it didn't land the way it used to. The boy's question had done something different. It had reshaped the public's perception of Musk's mission, not just for Mars, but for everything he had built. The usual Musk defenders rallied, posting lists of Tesla and SpaceX innovations that had already helped the world. Battery storage, in disaster zones, AI-driven medical research, Starlink keeping war-torn countries online. But the critics didn't let up. Follow-up tweet from a top journalist went viral. The issue isn't whether Musk's companies are helping, it's whether they're helping enough. He's spent years selling a vision of the future, but people are asking, what is he doing for right now? And that was the problem. For years, Musk's entire brand had been built on what could be. On Mars, AI integration, hyperloop cities, neural interfaces. The dream was always just ahead, but now people wanted results. It wasn't just about someday solving the world's biggest problems. It was about why they weren't being solved now. Musk sensed the shift. His usual counterattacks, sarcastic tweets, cryptic one-liners, wouldn't work this time. He needed something bigger. So the next morning, he did something no one expected. A surprise announcement, a press release sent to every major outlet. Elon Musk was launching the Immediate Solutions Initiative, a multi-billion-dollar fund aimed at tackling the most urgent crises on Earth: climate disasters, water shortages, global food instability. No more long-term theories, just action. It was the biggest public pivot of his career. But was it enough? The media responded instantly. Some hailed it as a genuine evolution in Musk's vision. Others called it a desperate PR stunt, and deep down, even Musk knew the truth. This boy's question hadn't just forced him to respond, it had forced him to rethink everything. The story took another sharp turn when a journalist from The Guardian did what no one else had thought to do, track down the boy's origins. It started with a simple question: who was he? No name, no background, no credentials. A child had appeared at a high-profile press event, confronted the most powerful innovator on the planet, and then vanished without a trace. People needed to know. The journalist, James Holloway, dug deep. He scoured footage from the event, looking for anything that might reveal who had brought the boy in. Security logs? Nothing. Guest lists? No record of a child. Even conference staff were baffled. No one remembered escorting him to the front row. Then after 2 sleepless days, Holloway found his first lead. A blurry photo surfaced, taken just before the press conference began. It showed the boy outside the venue, stepping out of a car. The driver wasn't apparent. It was a man, older, with a weathered face and a sharp gaze. Holloway ran the image through facial recognition, and that's when everything exploded. The driver was Dr. Julian Carter, a name that hadn't been in the news for nearly a decade, but it used to be. Carter was once one of the world's most respected climate scientists, a researcher who had led groundbreaking studies on energy solutions that could have revolutionized global power grids, until he disappeared. 10 years ago, Carter had accused major energy corporations of deliberately suppressing innovation, claiming that clean, unlimited energy sources already existed, but powerful interests were burying the research. He went public with explosive claims that technological stagnation wasn't accidental, it was orchestrated. And then, just a few months later, he was gone. Official reports said he had retired and gone off the grid. Some claimed he had fled due to personal issues. Others believed something darker had happened. But now, after all these years, his son had just stepped onto the world's biggest stage and called out Elon Musk. The revelation sent shockwaves through social media. Wait, the boy is Julian Carter's son. This just got insane. This isn't just some random kid. This is planned. Someone wants Musk rattled. Did Julian Carter send his son to expose something? What does he know? Even mainstream news outlets scrambled to catch up. The headline on the Washington Post the next morning read, "The boy who challenged Musk and the man who vanished." Conspiracy theorists had a field day. Some believed Carter had been silenced by corporations. Others claimed he had been working underground for years, waiting for the right moment to strike back. And one question now loomed over everything. Had the boy's question been more than just a challenge? Had it been a warning? The internet erupted. What had started as a viral press conference moment was now something else entirely, something bigger. News anchors debated it on live TV. Political analysts weighed in. Who had sent the boy? Two dominant theories took hold, dividing the world into two camps. Theory 1, the boy was a plant. This theory spread fast. Musk's most loyal supporters, corporate analysts and conspiracy theorists all latched onto it. The timing was too perfect. The question was too calculated. The identity of his father, Dr. Julian Carter, only deepened the suspicion. If Carter had been silenced years ago, had he been working in the shadows, training his son to expose the biggest tech leader of all time? A popular post on X, formerly Twitter, broke it down in a thread. Look at this. Boy appears front row at a global summit. No official pass, no record of how he got in. Asks a single, devastating question designed to rattle Musk. Vanishes immediately after. Turns out his father is a disappeared scientist who accused big tech of blocking innovation. This isn't a coincidence. This is a move. The theory gained traction. Some believed that Carter, if he was still alive, had orchestrated this moment from the shadows, or that other powerful forces were using his son as a weapon against Musk. Even some major investors got uneasy. A few of them voiced concerns privately. Was this an early sign of an anti-Musk campaign? Was someone trying to destabilize his companies? Musk himself fueled the speculation when he finally addressed the controversy with a cryptic tweet. Strange.
How these things always happen at just the right moment, isn't it?
It was just vague enough to stir even more speculation. Was he hinting that someone was behind this? A rival CEO? A government? A hidden power trying to control the future of innovation? Theory 2. The boy was just a brilliant child who spoke the truth. But not everyone bought into the setup theory. Some argued that the simplest explanation was the real one. The boy had asked a question no one else had dared to ask. He wasn't a plant. He was just a kid who saw through the noise. Supporters of this view pointed out that Musk's hesitation, the rare moment of uncertainty, was proof that the question had struck something real. A well-known professor of philosophy wrote a column for The Atlantic titled "The Boy Who Exposed Musk's Blind Spot and Why It Matters." In it, he argued, maybe this wasn't a setup. Maybe Musk wasn't targeted. Maybe, for the first time, someone asked him a question he couldn't answer, with a 5-year plan and a billion-dollar blueprint. Maybe, just maybe, innovation has to start with fixing what's already broken. The mystery deepens, but even as the two theories battled it out online, new questions kept surfacing. Why had no one noticed the boy entering the event? How did he get such a prime seat? Why was there no clear record of his departure? And most importantly, where was Dr. Julian Carter now? The story had taken on a life of its own, and whether Musk wanted it or not, the world wasn't just questioning his vision for the future anymore. They were questioning everything. The internet fractured overnight. What started as a single question from a mysterious boy had transformed into a global debate, one that now went far beyond just Elon Musk. Camp 1, Musk is the only one actually doing something. Musk's defenders were loud and organized. The argument was simple. Whether you loved or hated Musk, no one else was even attempting to tackle the problems he was. The guy is literally trying to get humanity off Earth, create clean energy, and stop AI from killing us. What more do you want? SpaceX fans pointed out that without Musk, the US would still be relying on outdated NASA tech. Tesla supporters argued that, without Musk, the world would still be hooked on fossil fuels. AI enthusiasts claimed that without Musk, we'd already be in a tech dystopia ruled by unchecked corporate algorithms. A post on our Futurology shot to the top. Musk is literally the only billionaire working on long-term survival problems. Everyone else is making social media apps and selling ads. Another user commented, "The government won't do it. The corporations won't do it. If Musk doesn't, who will?" Camp 2, Musk is just another billionaire playing God. But just as many people weren't convinced. For them, the boy's question had exposed something uncomfortable, that Musk's obsession with the future let him ignore the present. How? Do you fix Mars when you can't even fix Earth? Critics pointed out that Musk was still a billionaire, a man who preached progress but had laid off thousands of Tesla workers, fought against unionization, and played fast and loose with regulations. Environmentalists argued that if Musk truly cared about climate change, he'd be pushing for immediate solutions, not space colonies. AI skeptics warned that Musk's concerns about AI were a distraction while he developed his own AI for profit. A viral tweet summarized it. Musk wants to be remembered as the guy who saved humanity, but first he has to prove he actually cares about it. Another user wrote, "The boy asked him about the people suffering now, not in 50 years, not on Mars, and Musk still dodged it. Memes, conspiracies, and chaos. Of course, the internet being the internet." The debate wasn't just intellectual, it was chaotic. Memes flooded Twitter. A photoshopped image of Musk standing next to the boy with the caption, "Elon Musk versus the final boss of truth." A TikTok skit of someone playing Musk. Why help Earth when I can build space cars? Conspiracy threads exploded. Was the boy an AI experiment from Neuralink? Had the press conference been staged by anti-Musk activists? Was this all a distraction from Tesla's upcoming lawsuits? Musk's response, a single tweet amid the chaos. Musk did what he always did. He tweeted, "Hero, villain, doesn't matter, the goal stays the same." It racked up 10 million likes in under an hour. What happens next? The world had split into two narratives. Was Musk a visionary fighting to save humanity, or was he just another billionaire dodging responsibility? Either way, one thing was clear: the debate wasn't ending anytime soon. 3 days of chaos, 3 days of headlines dissecting every second of the press conference, 3 days of speculation, backlash, and conspiracy theories, and then, just when, the media machine was reaching its peak, Elon Musk did what no one expected. He flipped the script. The announcement that shook the world at 8 a.m. PST, Musk sent a single tweet: "It's time to fix what's broken." No context, no explanation. Just the exact words the boy had spoken to him. The tweet exploded instantly, millions of likes, endless speculation. But then, at 9:30 a.m., the real bombshell dropped. A massive press release went out to every major media outlet. The headline: Elon Musk launches the Immediate Solutions Initiative, a $50 billion push to solve the planet's most urgent problems. What was the Immediate Solutions Initiative? Unlike his previous projects, this wasn't about future tech or space travel. This was about Earth. Right now, 10 Bs for climate disaster response, AI-driven flood prediction, wildfire suppression, tech and infrastructure rebuilding in disaster zones, 8 Bs for clean water and food security, large-scale desalination projects, vertical farming, and AI-powered agricultural solutions. 12B for renewable energy, acceleration, a global push to build self-sustaining solar and battery grids in vulnerable regions. 5Bs for AI and robotics in crisis response, deployable AI-driven rescue drones, medical delivery bots, and automation for emergency response. 15B undisclosed, the wild card, Musk's signature unpredictability, a budget reserved for unconventional solutions yet to be revealed. The internet erupted. Again, within minutes, the world's reactions split into two camps again. Supporters: "This is how you silence your critics. He's not just talking, he's putting down real money. Musk just pledged more money than some country's entire GDP to fix Earth. What's your billionaire doing?" He literally quoted the kid. He listened. Respect. Skeptics: "Too little, too late. This is damage control, not genuine change." So he needed a kid to call him out before doing this? Why wasn't this a priority already? $50 billion sounds big, but this is pocket change for him. If he was serious, he'd go bigger. The boy's words become a global rallying cry. Even beyond Musk, the phrase "it's time to fix what's broken" took on a life of its own. It trended worldwide, used by activists, politicians, and global leaders. A well-known climate scientist tweeted, "Forget Musk." The real headline is that this one sentence just sparked a movement. It's time to fix what's broken. And at the heart of it all, one question remained unanswered. Where was the boy now? Because for all the chaos, speculation, and headlines, he hadn't been seen since the press conference. The hunt for the boy began almost immediately. Journalists, private investigators, and internet sleuths scoured every possible lead, trying to track him down. He had been the catalyst for one of the biggest shifts in Elon Musk's career. Yet now he was gone. No interviews, no social media presence, no school records that could be traced. Nothing. The search turns up empty. Major news outlets sent reporters to his last known location, an address linked to his family. The house was there. But when journalists knocked, the answer was always the same. No comment. His parents refused to speak to the press. Neighbors were hesitant, vague. Some claimed the family had packed up and left the very next day after the press conference. Others insisted they had seen them inside the house, but that they weren't answering calls. The more the media dug, the stranger things became. One anonymous source, a former investigative journalist, told The Guardian, "I've covered a lot of high-profile
stories, but this one?
The silence around this kid is unnatural." The conspiracy theories explode with no solid answers. The internet did what it does best. It speculated wildly. Theory 1. The government silenced him. Some believed the boy had drawn attention to something too big, something dangerous. The kid challenged one of the most powerful men in the world and disappeared immediately after. That's not coincidence. That's control. Julian Carter vanished years ago. Now his son does too. There's something bigger at play. Maybe the biggest problem in human history isn't climate change. Maybe it's something we aren't supposed to know about. Theory 2. Musk intervened. Another popular theory? Musk himself had a hand in the boy's disappearance. Musk is the king of controlling narratives. The moment things got too real, the kid vanishes. Come on. Maybe Musk helped the family
relocate.
Maybe he gave them money. Maybe he gave them a choice. The way Musk latched onto the boy's words was weird. It wasn't just an answer. It was like he knew something the rest of us didn't. Theory 3. The boy never existed. And then there were the extreme theories. Think about it. No ticket, no security logs, no background. What if the boy was never supposed to exist? What if this whole thing, Musk's moment of doubt, was scripted? What if it was designed to pivot his brand in a new direction? The world was talking about AI before this. What if the boy was AI? Musk's response? Silence. For 3 days, Musk had been vocal, tweeting, making announcements, shifting narratives. But when asked directly about the boy, nothing, no response, no tweets, no clarification. A Bloomberg journalist finally managed to get a Tesla executive to comment on background. The response? Elon isn't concerned with where the boy is. He's focused on the future. But that was the concern, because if the boy was the reason Musk had changed course, then where was he now? And why did it feel like no one was supposed to find him? The world watches what happens next. Elon Musk's bombshell announcement had reshaped the global conversation overnight. For years, he had been the symbol of futurism, pushing humanity toward Mars, AI, and the next technological frontier. But now, thanks to one boy's question, he had positioned himself as the man trying to fix what was broken, right here, right now. The world wasn't sure whether to believe him. Was this a genuine transformation, or was it just another high-profile distraction? Governments react, pressure mounts. Within 24 hours, world leaders began responding. The UN Secretary-General released a statement. "We welcome Musk's commitment to tackling the planet's most urgent crises. We urge other billionaires and corporations to follow suit." The White House released a more cautious response. We look forward to seeing how these pledges translate into real action. The European Union's climate minister took a harder stance. For years, Musk has prioritized space over sustainability. If he's serious about Earth, let's see real commitments, without the loopholes. China, ever wary of Musk's influence, took an aggressive approach. The state-run media issued an editorial questioning Musk's motives. Elon Musk is not a savior, he is a businessman. The world should not be fooled by billionaires who claim they can fix problems they helped create. Clearly, governments weren't convinced yet. The billionaire class splits. Musk's peers in the billionaire world had mixed reactions. Jeff Bezos, Amazon and Blue Origin, posted a cryptic tweet. Fixing what's broken starts with telling the truth about who broke it. Translation: a shot at Musk, possibly referencing his anti-union stance, environmental controversies and past scandals. Bill Gates, who had previously feuded with Musk over climate philanthropy, gave a diplomatic response. Any effort to tackle the planet's biggest challenges is welcome, but the real test is long-term commitment. Mark Zuckerberg and Tim Cook? Silence. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, took an opportunistic stance, urging corporations to align with Musk's initiative. Some analysts speculated that Wall Street might see this as a profitable new ESG, environmental social governance movement. In short, some saw Musk as a visionary stepping up, while others saw him as a threat. Corporations pivot, or fake it Musk's $50 billion immediate solutions initiative sent shockwaves through the corporate world. Suddenly, companies that had ignored climate issues were rushing to align themselves with Musk's vision. Google and Microsoft announced a joint initiative to integrate AI into climate disaster prediction. Major oil companies, the same ones Musk had once fought against, released PR-heavy pledges to invest in clean energy, though many critics dismissed these as greenwashing. Big tech CEOs scrambled to respond. Some pledged new, Earth-focused initiatives. Others tried to downplay Musk's announcement, fearing he was shifting public expectations for billionaires. And then there was Tesla and SpaceX. Tesla investors demanded clarification. If Musk was pivoting toward Earth-based problems, where did that leave Tesla's long-term vision? SpaceX engineers were uneasy. Many had joined the company because of its commitment to space exploration, not earthly humanitarian efforts. Would Musk still push for Mars, or was that on hold? Musk faces his own internal divide inside Musk's empire. There was tension. SpaceX employees were worried. The company had spent years focused on getting humans to Mars. Was that mission now taking a back seat? Tesla executives were scrambling. If Musk wanted to expand Tesla's focus, would that affect their stock, their supply chain, their entire business model? Neuralink and OpenAI insiders had questions too. If Musk was prioritizing fixing what's broken, where did AI and brain-computer interfaces fit into that vision? Musk had spent years convincing people to think about the far future. Now he was asking them to look at right now, and not everyone was ready for that shift. But then another bombshell drops just as the debate was reaching its peak. A leaked email surfaced. A high-level executive inside one of Musk's companies had sent an internal message. We are being forced to rethink the entire mission. This isn't just about Earth. Something bigger is happening. And Musk knows it. The internet exploded. What did that mean? What did Musk know? And, most importantly, had the boy's question revealed something that the world wasn't supposed to know? Just as the chaos started to settle, as the world was beginning to digest, Musk's dramatic pivot and corporations were adjusting their PR strategies. The internet was rocked again. A cryptic message appeared. No official source, no press release, just a single post, anonymous, untraceable, surfacing on social media before spreading like wildfire. It read, "The real problem hasn't been solved yet. Keep watching," and it was signed with a single symbol. A small, almost unnoticeable detail that sent shivers down the spine of those who recognized it. A simple, handwritten J, the initial of Julian Carter, the vanished scientist, the missing father of the boy who had challenged Musk. The internet goes into meltdown. The moment the message was screenshotted, it was everywhere. Breaking. Has the boy resurfaced? This isn't over. What is the real problem? Julian Carter is alive, The theories explode. Theory 1. The boy is warning the world. Many believed the message was a direct warning, that despite Musk's public pivot, the true crisis, whatever it was, remained unresolved. Some asked, was the boy referring to the world's most pressing problems, climate collapse, economic instability, AI threats? Or was this about something else, something hidden? We're looking at the wrong thing. This wasn't just about Musk. It's bigger. Theory 2, the real fight hasn't started yet. Others believed the message suggested that a bigger battle was coming, one that Musk, the boy, and Julian Carter were all entangled in. Some pointed to old leaked documents from Carter's research, which had hinted at a breakthrough in energy that could have upended global power structures. Had Carter's disappearance been staged? Had he gone into hiding to protect his work? And now was his son the next piece in whatever this game was? Theory 3, this is an AI hoax. A smaller but growing faction believed the message was fabricated, possibly by AI, possibly by powerful interests trying to keep the conspiracy alive. Some claimed the entire event, the press conference, the boy's challenge, even Musk's reaction, had been scripted. What if this was an experiment, a test to see how the world would react? Musk breaks his silence, but raises more questions. As the internet spun itself into a conspiracy frenzy, Musk finally responded. At 2:17 a.m. he posted, "Some problems take time to solve. Some problems are hidden. Some problems aren't what they seem." No direct mention of the boy, no confirmation, no denial. Just more mystery. The world watches, waiting. By the time the sun rose, the internet was obsessed. People weren't just debating Musk anymore. They were searching for the boy, searching for Julian Carter, searching for the truth behind the message. And with every passing hour, one question loomed larger than ever. What was the real problem, and why did it feel like no one wanted the world to know? The world was no longer just watching. It was obsessed. What had started as a viral moment between a billionaire and a child had spiraled into something bigger, darker, and more mysterious than anyone could have predicted. The boy had vanished. His father, Julian Carter, was still missing. And now there was one cryptic message setting the internet ablaze. The real problem hasn't been solved yet. Keep watching. Theories reach a boiling point. Theory 1. The hidden truth about energy. Some believed that Carter's disappearance had everything to do with his groundbreaking research, work that, if released, could make fossil fuels, batteries, and even Musk's clean energy projects obsolete. He figured it out. Unlimited energy. And that's why they buried him. The boy wasn't just asking about innovation. He was asking why the world is still broken when we could have fixed it decades ago. What if the biggest problem in history is the fact that it was never supposed to be solved? Theory 2. Musk knows more than he's saying. Others believed Musk's reaction at the press conference, his rare hesitation, his sudden pivot, wasn't just about rethinking his priorities. It was because he already knew the truth. Did Musk just realize he's been playing into someone else's game this entire time? His entire empire is built on the idea that we need to invent the future. But what if the future already existed and was buried? This isn't about Musk being a villain. This is about Musk being forced to face something he was never supposed to see. Theory 3. The boy was a warning, not a question. Then there was the most haunting theory. What if the boy's question wasn't just a challenge? What if it was a warning? He didn't ask Musk what he was doing. He asked why he hadn't already solved it. What if the boy already knew the answer? What if this was his way of telling Musk You're running out of time. The media scrambles, but the trail goes. Cold journalists chased every lead, government records, academic research, even old whistleblower reports. But then something strange happened. Websites hosting Julian Carter's old research started disappearing. Articles about his accusations against energy corporations were suddenly flagged as misinformation. People who had once worked with Carter refused to speak, some even going off-grid. Something or someone was working to bury the past. Musk tweets again, but leaves. More questions. As the world spiraled deeper into speculation, Musk tweeted again. This time, it wasn't sarcasm, it wasn't deflection, it was just 2 words. I'm listening, no explanation, no context, but it sent a clear message. Musk wasn't ignoring this anymore, and neither was the rest of the world. This story isn't over, it's just beginning. Somewhere, the boy was still out there. Somewhere, Julian Carter knew the truth, and now the entire planet was watching, waiting. Because whatever had just begun was bigger than Elon Musk, bigger than technology, bigger than innovation itself. Something had been uncovered, something buried for a reason, and now it was only a matter of time before the world learned the truth.